Okay, class, we are going to do section 8.2.1 over 2 days. So rather than just doing it on Wednesday of this week and having 8.2.1 homework due Friday, if we start on April 1st, which is Wednesday, which should be today, you will be doing the first half of the notes today. And then we'll do the second half of the notes will be what you should be doing on Friday. And then you'll have over the weekend to do homework 8.2.1 and that will be due on Monday, April 6th. Just as a general reminder, this should not be to the point where you are extremely overwhelmed and you're spending all day doing your math homework. We've had, instruction that this should not be, you should not be doing more than a half hour on these notes per time that we would have met per class. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you should take about a half hour to be filling out these notes. And if you're going much beyond that, just stop and take a picture of what you got through and let me know. However, if you are working and you're also texting and you're walking your dog and getting snacks, that does not mean that you actually put in a half hour of work. So just be mindful of, are you actually working for the full half hour? If you are, then awesome, then you can be done. But if you're just dinking around, then you know who you are, and that will obviously take much longer for you to get through the same amount of content. Having said that, let's do the first half of these notes. On Monday, you did notes 8.1.6. That was a section that was just added into this chapter by me. I felt like after 8.1.5 last Friday, we weren't really ready to move on to 8.2.1, which is what we're doing today. I felt like we just needed to see what the point of factoring was. So what you should have gotten out of the lesson on Monday, 8.1.6, was that you factor in order to solve equations. I think that the first example had something, let's just pretend it was like this. Something like that. And normally, if I were to tell somebody maybe in pre-algebra or you a few weeks ago or last week, if I said solve that, you would have tried to get that x by itself, probably, and things would have gotten really haywire. And what you should know now after seeing the notes from Monday is that you can solve a quadratic equation by setting the factors equal to 0. So you should know by now that you would do, your 4x minus 12 equals 0. If you set this equal to 0 and you end up factoring this, the zero product property, which is what you should have gained from Monday's lesson, is that if you do these two factors, you can set those equal to 0, and that's what you're going to get for your solution. You're going to get your two answers are x equals 2 and x equals negative 6. That's what you should come in sort of understanding at this point, where if I plug in 2 into this original equation, that would have gotten me the correct answer. Same with if I plug in a negative 6, same thing. Both of those values of x would make that equation true. Knowing that, I would like you, for your warm-up, to factor these problems. We are looking for shortcuts. We're trying to be efficient. So if I do my x box on this one, I'm going to end up with my factors being, the two numbers here would be negative 4x and 2x. And when I plug that into the box, I get that my factors end up being x minus 4 and x plus 2. But what I want you to see on this is that the negative 4 and the 2 are the same numbers that we got right here. They just don't have the x. So let's just see if that happens again on this one. So if I do my x box, my 6x squared, my 5x, two numbers that multiply to 6 and add to 5, we got those. if I come through and do my box, oh hey, that 2 and 3 that I came up with, the 2 here and the 3 here, those end up in my factors, my x plus 2 and my x plus 3. So that's a shortcut you should be seeing. This shortcut works if your term out in front, your a term, your x squared, if it has a coefficient that's 1. Remember, that would be invisible. You would have a little invisible 1 out here. But we don't see it. So that is a factoring shortcut. Anytime you have a quadratic that the first number here, that coefficient out in front of your x squared, if it's 1, you can just think of the two numbers right away. So let's think of two numbers that multiply to 15 and add to 8. They have to multiply to the last number and add to the middle number. I'm thinking 5 and 3. Okay. My factors for this are x plus 5 and x plus 3. That's correct. If I FOIL that back out, I am going to get the right answer. That's just a factoring shortcut you should see here. Same thing here. I need two numbers that multiply to 21 and add to negative 10. Two numbers that multiply to a 21 and add to a negative 10. I'm thinking negative 3 and 7. So my factors for this guy are x minus 3 and x minus 7. That's your factoring shortcut. Now we're going to use that to solve on our parabolas, because today we are graphing these quadratic functions, and I'm going to show you how making a graph of these equations, like these guys here, why is it important to be able to factor? That's where we're going with this.